Hi, this is Rich Bianchi with Franklin Spirco, and this is Devyn Keenen, daughter of Dr. Gregory Ellis with ByeByeCarbs.com. Devyn, so what exactly is Ultimate Diet Secrets all about?
Ultimate Diet Secrets is really a book that can educate you on how to live a healthier lifestyle. It's basically a book that my dad spent his whole life doing research for, to basically put together a manual, per se, to teach people how to live a healthy life. Oh,
really? Okay. And so it's mostly about eating low carb, as I understand it. And I tried a little bit on it myself. I tried about a month and a half, and I've lost about 15 pounds.
Great.
And so I'm starting to see results as well, but I'm not quite following it as strictly as he might mention it in his book. So what can you eat whenever you go on this diet?
Well, I think something that you just said is really good, that you're not maybe following it as strict as the book would say, but you're still seeing results, which I think is a really important part of the lifestyle and the diet, that you don't have to be, super, super strict. You can still enjoy, a bite of cake or some ice cream every once in a while.
Right.
And it's not going to be the end of the world. But it's pretty much, you want to stick to high-fat foods, because then you're not going to be hungry. So you can focus on good things like cheeseburgers and bacon, and we all just had some good sandwiches today, but you just kind of cut back on the bread a little bit.
Right.
And then you're not going to be as hungry as you would, and then you end up losing weight, which is what's happening with you. So
it's okay to, eat bacon and eggs every morning, or, go out and have a big steak or something like that in the evening?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Butter, anything that's high fat, because then you're not going to be hungry. So you're going to eat less, lose more weight, and you're going to feel better.
And I've always heard that's really bad for your heart, though, to eat all that fat. What do you think about that?
It's pretty much nonsense.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm starting to notice that more and more people are picking up that, a lot of the science that was supposedly settled science is not really quite as true as they thought in the past. So. Yeah,
I mean, how many hundreds of thousands of diet books out there probably, but we're all made the same way. So it's just a matter of, basically we all work the same way, and people just need to learn how our bodies work and how they function, and then everybody's going to be healthy and lose some weight. Right.
I guess bread isn't exactly a natural thing either, so I mean, when people back in the day, they probably didn't have hunter-gatherers running around grabbing,
processed white bread.
Processing white bread, right? And then they were more likely to eat something like meat, I would assume. So,
yeah,
it's more natural.
It's, the more, I guess, technologically advanced our countries become, the worse our food has gotten. So people are just, eating processed, high-carb food, and people feel awful. They're gaining a ton of weight, and nobody knows what to do about it. Yeah. So it's just a matter of educating people of how their body actually works, how they process food, and getting an idea of what you should actually be eating.
Yeah, I mean, when I go out to a restaurant, I notice that almost everything has some kind of high carb source in it, like bread or something like that. You can't really hardly find anything with just meat alone.
Right.
So,
yeah, I think our country has this focus on, a balanced diet per se, where you're eating your vegetables and your fruits and your breads, and then a little bit of meat and a little bit of dairy, but that's really not the way it should be. Right.
So the food pyramid, it's like, when you look at the food pyramid, it's all high carb on top. That's the biggest portion you're supposed to eat. When you get to the very bottom, they have a little bit of meat on the bottom. And that's what they've been telling people for years, right? So.
And then our country is full of overweight, unhealthy people. So it really should be opposite.
We have the most obesity just about in the entire world. I mean, we're known for that. So, in fact, unfortunately, in the latest years, I've been hearing a lot of people from Europe and other countries, that other continents and stuff like that, have been saying, hey, look at you guys, you're really obese, and people have been trying to figure out how to get on their diets and stuff like that, and turns out a lot of times they eat a lot more meat and a lot less, a lot less bread. So
exactly, yeah. I think it's just a matter of teaching. The whole book is just, I mean, there's a lot of science behind the book, because Dad wants to teach people how their body actually functions, but you don't have to go through all the science of it if you don't want to. You know, you can just learn how, it's basically to give you an idea of how our bodies actually work. It's all the same, none of us are different, and it's just to teach you how to, you know, have a healthy lifestyle. It's not a diet. It's not something you want to do for 30 days and then go off of. It's a way of...
It's changing your way of life completely.
Exactly.
Right. So, you know, when you look at these things, you know, you notice that people are often... You know, they're overeating a lot because they seem to be eating so many carbs. I mean, you know, obviously there's something wrong with that. I mean, obviously if you're sitting there and you have to eat over and over again, they get really tired after they eat a lot of carbohydrates also.
Yeah.
You know.
It's a vicious cycle because when you eat a high carb diet, it turns to sugar. That's what a lot of people don't understand. If you eat fruits and vegetables, it's going to turn into sugar.
So you get that sugar high.
Exactly. And then
but then
your
it goes
body,
low.
right, exactly. It burns it off so quickly that you end up being hungry a half hour later, so you end up eating more sugar, and then you're hungry a half hour later, and then you're overweight.
So eating carbs makes you overeat, really, in the long run.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I've noticed since I've been...
You're constantly hungry. So once you transfer over to low carb and you're eating a higher fat content, your body stays full longer, so you don't have to eat as much. Yeah,
it seems like since I've been eating like that, I've been really not that hungry anymore. I mean, I used to want to eat a lot, you know, I'd have to go out someplace and just get a huge meal. And now I don't really want to eat all day, really. I just force myself to, really, because it's, you know, I'm like, I have to eat, but I don't really want to.
And then the other side, like you just said, when you go out and you get a huge meal, you're not going to want to eat the whole thing anymore. You just eat some of it.
Right.
So it all, you know, it translates to weight loss and being healthier. And you feel better, too. I'm sure you're probably seeing less, you know, sugar crashes. You're probably not as tired throughout the day.
I don't get as tired at all, actually. In fact, I keep my energy level up because of it. So. So how long have you been following the diet?
It'll be 3 years in October.
3 years.
That I finally started listening. And same thing, completely different. I don't have the crashes throughout the day. I lost 10 pounds doing nothing else but just changing my diet.
That's interesting. Yeah, same here.
It's just, you just feel better.
Actually, I wasn't even working out and I lost weight. And I've had other diets that I've taken and I had to go running around all over the place and going to gyms and working out, and still, you know, I couldn't really lose any weight. I lost maybe 1 or 2 pounds. With this, I lost 15 pounds in a month and a half.
Yeah,
so
it's great.
You know,
very good.
It's a huge change.
The Ultimate Diet Secrets versus Ultimate Diet Secrets Light is really, they're still, you know, both big books because Dad wants to get, you know, the full picture across.
Right.
But Ultimate Diet Secrets Light has a little bit less of the science behind it. UDS, the big book, as we call it, that's where you're going to get like all of the science behind it, the technical terms. So that's for people who really want to, you know, dive into the biology of the body and how it works. But if you want to still learn the lifestyle but not have all that technical stuff to deal with, then UDS Light is great as well. That's
a really big book also, so it's about 600 pages.
Yeah, UDS is about 600. I think Light's closer to 400 or so. But it's just getting the message across without as much of the science. So it gives people great options to go, you know, 2 different directions. Or if you want to learn how to do it but not have all the science.
Right. So once you have that book, do you really need any more books? I mean, you're pretty much set, aren't you? Because I mean,
that's like we said, people, a lot of the books that are out there, it's just people's opinions.
Right.
But our bodies are not an opinion. The way we work, the way we're made, it's not an opinion. We all have the same, you know, things going on inside, the same biology. So you don't need, I mean, there's only really one way.
We all get the same colds and everything else, and we all have the same, you know, we get hit by a car, obviously, we're going to get some broken bones. It's no different, really. We're all the same, no matter what we do. If doctors give us the same medicine, don't they? So, you know, obviously. So. So basically, you just get this book, and you can go back and look at it anytime you want. Obviously, if you have another question, you can just go back and if you're wondering, you know, how many grams of carbohydrates do I eat in a day, you can go and look up that part, and obviously you'll have that one book that'll be your overall encyclopedia. And that has...
Yep. And you learn, the more, I'm sure you're seeing too, the more you do it, the more you become comfortable with it, and you know what carbs are in certain foods.
Right.
And then you don't have to go back to the book all the time, because it just becomes a part of your daily lifestyle that you don't think about anymore.
But if you have any real technical questions, you can always go back and look at it, and it'll explain the science to you and show you studies and all kinds of stuff.
Yep.
Because I've noticed that Dr. Ellis really likes to put a lot of the studies in there and really, you know, get into extreme detail on whatever, you know, he's been able to find over, what is it, about 40 years he spent trying to get that kind of knowledge?
Yeah, about 40 years.
Wow.
He studied his PhD in exercise physiology, and that's where, you know, he really studied the way the body works. So, it's where it all
certified
came from.
nutrition specialist, right?
Yep, exactly.
Wow. So it's pretty, those are some good credentials, and obviously what he does is he takes the scientific method, obviously, and he applies it directly to whatever it is that he's trying to accomplish. So he doesn't just jump in there and just throw out an opinion without any kind of knowledge about the subject, or with the vague amount, you know, or some, you know, common logic maybe. You know, he actually takes the time to do his due diligence and figures it out.
Exactly, and that's the whole point. It's not his opinion. That's why he backs it with the science, because that's the truth. It's not just an opinion.
And through the school of hard knocks, right? Because he obviously failed at first, but he kept trying until he managed to do it.
Yeah.